Hello and welcome to another Lord of the Rings Rise to War 2.0 video. I am the player who plays as the King Under the Mountain, and it's just a quick video today to talk about one of my favourite commanders in 2.0, talk a little bit about the gear that might suit him, particularly the gold versions, and the kind of formation that he might be able to sit in. I do plan on doing more of these kind of videos along the way, but I will just do a brief sort of summary of where we're at in the season as well. So at the moment we still have Tower Law playing as Gondor versus Lane predominantly at the moment, who are Loth. At the moment we own one crossing each here after being pushed back. As you can see, they're just coming over, and on the far side they're also just attacking this crossing here, but we've been back and forth here for a few days. We did get pushed back into the middle of tower, to be fair, and I did actually get uprooted, so I finally got a chance to move back, and I no longer have a 3-hour reinforcement, which feels quite nice. And I'm just currently sat on this tower here waiting for anyone who may want to come over. The commander I want to talk about today, and I'm going to show you a battle report just to sort of prove the worth, is Beorn. Not Dane, which I know a lot of the time, a lot of my focus is on Dane. But I want to talk about Beorn, and I want to talk about the type of equipment that you might be able to use and what kind of things you're looking for in your equipment, potential viability about how you have to make sure that he can survive long enough to do as much damage that he has, and the sort of builds that you'll probably see running around. So first and foremost, we'll very quickly go through his skills. For me, his primary skill and his best skill is actually Skin Changer, which from round 4 onwards shapeshifts and deals 666% damage to 3 formations. This is physical damage, to be fair, and he gains 15% attack until the end of the fight, which is a really big boost. So you're looking at ways of keeping him around till round 4, and then he really kicks in with damage. He also has a 30% chance to inflict madness on a target for 1 round every time he does damage in this skill. So that's also quite impressive. That's from the level 5 skill. And then the level 10 skill is he gains stun and madness immunity after shapeshifting. So from round 4 onwards he is stun and madness immune, which can be quite useful. It's not as useful as it probably was in 1.0, but it's still pretty useful. His second sort of respect 1 skill, I suppose. People call it respect 0 skill, but there you go. Is Forest Guardian, and I haven't really been into this skill yet because I haven't really got any beasts near me that would be useful. So it's attacks inflicted by beasts units in 2 allied formations cause the target's defense sort of a debuff, minus debuff for 1 round. Level 5, Beornins in the commander's formation have a 30% chance to gain follow-up, which could be quite handy, to be fair. And level 10 is attack of beasts in 2 formations plus 3, which isn't great, to be honest. So I would say predominantly that skill is going to be mainly ignored with the way that Beorn is. His R3 skill is very good. Again, procs every couple of rounds, so it'll go off in round 2, then again in round 4, then in round 6, then in round 8, and then in round 10. So you get 5 goes at this in a battle. It deals 300% physical damage to 1 to 2 enemy formations and has a 30% chance to inflict 70% bleed damage on the target, effective up to 3 times. Now, bleed is a really interesting skill that I'd like to go into a little bit more at some point, but it's actually one of the better skills in the game. So the R3 title is actually very powerful. The chance of succumbing to bleed at level 5 goes up to 50%, and at level 10 the bleed takes effect 4 times. So it's quite nice, and I think we'll probably be able to look for it in a battle report and see what kind of damage that bleed does. Another great skill is Enemy of the Orc. It attacks 3 formations and can be 160% damage. The skill gains Rush. For those who don't know what Rush means, it means it actually hits in round 1 at level 5, so that's pretty handy sometimes, get some early damage. With it hitting 3 formations as well, quite useful for getting rid of some White Council potentially, and some mitigation that way. And at level 10, it deals an additional 50% damage once to orcs. I'm not really using that skill as much at the moment, just for the simple reason that we are fighting good side. If I was fighting evil, it's a pretty handy skill. To give it a quick mention, is Relic. I do think anyone in your main formation, if possible, you should try and get the relics. It's a fairly standard sort of relic. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it is worth picking up just for the extra attack and things. I may not necessarily strengthen it, but it increases the commander's attack by 2.5, which isn't, massive damage, to be fair. It does look pretty cool though, and I still need to do one of the skills for that. Looking at then, so potential sort of equipment. If you're talking gold equipments, the Axe of Khazad-dûm is the absolute #1 best in slot item for him. If you can pick one up for him, great. Commander damage is the kind of thing that you want for a damage dealer, which Beorn is. So the more damage you can have, the more attack you can have, the better it is. So for me, it's a little bit like the Dane gear. Pretty much all damage dealers are all very much the same. So Axe of Khazad-dûm, Warborn Battleplate. Other option, if possible, if you want a sort of more attacking option, you could go for the Berserker's Raiment, which gives more plus attack. I like the Warborn Battleplate because it actually gives some commander defense. Best in slot item, absolutely, for a damage dealer is the Cack of Pride. Attack plus 48, which is what his sort of attack scales off, in effect. See how much damage he's causing. And commander defense plus 6. Now at the moment, I've got him with the Fine Smoking Pipe, which is not ideal. I'm currently testing the set benefit of evasive action, and I'll come on to sets that might suit him very shortly. The reason why the Smoking Pipe's potentially a slightly viable option is if you were against some elemental damage, it will help him take a little bit less because of the focus. Also has a little bit of defense, but mainly it's the plus 8 damage I'm looking for from the Fine Smoking Pipe. It's not ideal. The best in slot item would definitely be a Palantir. Unfortunately, I don't have it with a skill that I'm running, but you could quite easily interchange the gear between Dane and Beorn. Again, a similar sort of slot item. And the Palantir, unfortunately, I don't have the right skill, but you will see it's the masses of plus attack that you're after, with plus 48 attack and some commander damage. At base level, very, very handy. So after very quickly running through his skills, mine is only R7, so he is very good. I say only, I'm very lucky to have him R7. From a purple gear point of view, and I think I have got some that I can very quickly show. Best in slot, definitely from a purple gear perspective, would be a Battle Axe, as the commander damage is very good for 10 to 14. The commander attack at plus 18 is really good, and some unit defense is actually very handy because you can, your troops survive longer, means the commander can survive longer, which is really good. I tend to be using the Scale Mail as the best in slot item, in my opinion, for a purple armor. Again, commander attack plus 15 and defense plus 9 for the commander. Headpiece, I would definitely say the full helm is the best in slot item yet again. Decent commander HP, commander attack plus 18 and some unit defense again just to help out with that. For the purple accessory, I would probably argue that the Hiflane is probably the best, with plus 9 attack, a little bit of focus and some unit attack as well, which we're not really looking for with Beorn, but it's handy to have. Again, some commander HP. I don't think, to my knowledge, there is a purple item which actually gives damage, because accessories and weapons are the only two things that will actually give damage in this game, which is the primary stat that you want to try and increase on any damage dealer. So that's the sort of purple options I'd look for. That is the gold gear options I would look for. Now, as you can see, this looks a little bit weird as I have got the Fine Smoking Pipe on, and the reason for that is I'm looking into evasive action. So on this, the first 3 rounds of this formation's damage received is minus 20%. Now, Beorn's damage kicks in round 4, so I'm trying to take as little as possible in the first 3 rounds. Now this, mixed with something like a White Council, for example, really helps with that process. That's why I'm testing it out, and I've had some quite good results with it, to be honest. I mean, it helps that obviously the gear is very good. It's not perfect. If the Palantir is in that, I would probably look at running it. If you're looking at more attacking options, which there are plenty from a sets point of view, I would be looking to run something like either a Sharp Blade with the attack formation plus 20 during combat. Obviously this increases his ability to deal damage. no, sort of qualms or brains behind that one. The other one I might look at is might, and plus 10% to your physical damage is very good. The other one that I would probably consider is Warcry, just to try and boost some damage in those first 3 rounds, but that's not where Beorn's the strongest, so I'd say that's the worst of those 3. For me, the absolute best in slot for him, and unfortunately I can't quite make a set good enough because I feel like this would also be excellent on Scalhelm, is Perseverance. And the reason for this is every round his damage goes up by 2%. If you scale this with that R1 skill that I was talking about, Skin Changer, and that plus 15% until the end of the battle, by the time you've hit in round 5, you're on, this is where my maths fails me, 12.5% on top, is that right? Yeah, 12.5% on top, plus the 15%. It's an astronomical amount of damage, and it can give you results that look a little bit like me being wailed on earlier on, which I will try and show you now. Let's go. I quite like the new filter option, by the way, with Tactician and PvP and those kind of options. It's quite nice. See if I can find the defeat that I got. This one here, I think it is. Yep. So as you can see, and this really surprised me, it is very wailed, but as you can see, Beorn has done more damage than any other comm in this formation, including Dane. Now mine's done a kind of equal amount of damage with the sort of gear that I showed you earlier on to my Dane, but that's more because Dane died earlier in this fight. But that 144k damage from Beorn is pretty much showing what he is capable of. Now, the gear in this formation is phenomenal, to be honest. I'll just flick through it very quickly. It's pretty much all fully refined, I think, barring the Isildur. And there it is. So Perseverance. So this set here with that skill set. Now he is a lot higher respect than me, I would hazard a guess, because he's level 41, the same as I was. And he's got 3 more points in there, which makes it respect. Zenith 1, I would guess. Someone could probably confirm that, but I would say it's Zenith 1. That is probably the perfect 3 pieces of gear. I'm sure if he could, he would change this out for the Berserker Raiment or the Warborn Battle Plate, but other than that, absolutely perfect. And the amount of damage that he's got there is absolutely sickening. Let's just see if we can just very quickly show you what happens in round 4. Obviously I did lose this fight. I had a closer battle with him later on, and that was due to the fact that I got him with a little bit of madness, I think. So if we have a look at round 4, the battle reports now are such a nightmare to get through. I have no idea what round I'm even in anymore. Round 3, wow, that was a long way to go for round 3. There's so much stuff in battle reports now, it's crazy. Round 4. Let's have a look for a red Beorn. Where he's actually attacking. No. Have I missed Beorn? There's my Beorn. Be a non-event. Here we go. So, Skin Changer. So he causes 14-6. There's the attack boost coming in right there. So he causes 14-6, 13-6, 15-7. So 27, 28, 38, 43k damage just from that one attack. And then he hits again for Anduin Chieftain, which does another 6. So he's over 50 odd k there. plus an enemy of the Orcs. It's kind of similar to the old Dane setup, where round 4 is such a big round for him. He does so much damage. It's a little bit ridiculous. And that's pretty much what killed me. So he's done probably a third of his damage in one round. As long as he hits the right troops, particularly Dane, for example, hard. There's no coming back for me in that fight. But that is the true potential of Beorn right there, particularly with that kind of gear. Now, as far as setups go, people seem to be a little bit torn on this. Now, I like to run 2 damage dealers with Gandalf the White for White Council predominantly, and White Rider. I'm sure this player is doing exactly the same. Yeah, so he's got White Rider, so you get the extra damage received, and he's got White Council. Again, try and get as much focus as you can just to try and work that out and take as little damage as possible to keep troops alive. And basically from there, that's where that fight goes and where it's at. That formation for me is arguably, I think you interchange the 4th member. In this case, he's ran Isildur. Now, what people have noted about Isildur, to be fair, is that he does stay alive very well, so his survivability is excellent. I would probably try and run him more with the R3 skill for some damage, and probably even max Great King, but people seem to like running the evasion. I'm personally not a massive fan of the evasion, but it does seem to keep Isildur alive, which gives you a little bit more mitigation from the R5 as well. Although I do think that's kind of counterintuitive because of White Council. They sort of both proc at the same time, and it makes it quite difficult to make that work. I like to run some other kind of damage, so in my case I've ran Galadriel just to try and get a different type of damage in there with focus damage, and she's doing okay at respect 7 with some high focus gear, to be fair to her, just so it cuts through the defense of things like a dwarf comm or whatever it might be, or whatever the troops are. I've seen other people run Gil as well in this formation, and I can get why. If you use elves as opposed to other troops, I do think the race restriction is a little bit annoying, but if you use the elves, the evasion in those first few rounds due to Gil skills really does help Beorn stay alive longer, which will help him do more damage. And that's kind of it, really. That's sort of the introduction to Beorn that I kind of wanted to run through. I do intend on doing a lot more videos on gear and what type of gear for certain types of commanders, and maybe even a tier list soon if I can get a little bit of time. So any suggestions are welcome. Any comments on Beorn? Have you been using him? Have you not? Do you not like him? Do you think he's better in 2.0 than 1.0? Anything welcome. But for now, I have a great season wherever you are. Enjoy the video, and if in doubt, always follow your nose.